daily lives, that will change history, 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 that will change history. That will be the most beautiful day.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for stopping by and tuning in tonight for our weekly Intel report. This is for the week of the 17th of October, 2023, and is going to be mainly dedicated to the ongoing conflict in Israel and Gaza, there over in the Middle East. Of course, we're going to be covering a bunch of different topics tonight, but we will be primarily focusing on, again, the situation that's unfolding there in both Israel and Gaza. A lot of news this evening. I know we haven't had a weekly report of this format in some time. We're going to be kind of doing things a little bit differently. We're going to be a little bit more relaxed. We're going to be going through... we have a lot of news. We have a couple hours worth of news lined up for you guys tonight. We're going to be covering, again, the Israel conflict, Ukraine, Russia, some Iranian developments. We're going to be covering China and Taiwan, North Korea. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different topics this evening. Again, the first part of the show, though, again, is going to be dedicated to the Israeli conflict. But again, before we get started, big shout out to everybody that's tuning in so far this evening. I see a lot of familiar faces and quite a few new faces. First of all, I'd like to give a big shout out to Mr. Stereo, who impromptu gave us some music, some live music this evening, and DJ'd for us. That was not planned. That just randomly, spontaneously happened there, and I liked it. I think that was a nice little addition to the show, so big shout out to him. Great personality on that guy. Loved the music. It was a good time. Hope we can do that again sometime. Big shout out to Sydney, Benny Hill. Thank you so much for the super chat there. Says good to see you back, and moving shadow to close. Uranus Colonizer, good to see you back again tonight. Love to have you. Love to have you in the chat there. Ookton, good to see you. Moving Shadow, Christopher Donison, Lanny Who says we are going places tonight. Simply Ollie, good to see you. Says yo to you, Ollie. Good to see you here. Kathy C, good to see you. Angelina, good to see you as well. Paddywhack, thank you so much for holding down the fort there in the live chat. Paddywhack, he says, here, but I'm camping. I think I saw him earlier say something about, why did he bring his phone? I think, is it your son's birthday? I think he mentioned. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's his son's birthday. If so, happy birthday. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. He's not only camping, but he's also moderating our live chat, so what a mad lad. Good Bot, thank you so much for tuning in. It says good music selection. Well, we have Mr. Stereo over there in the Discord to thank for that. I believe he's still playing music right now over in the Nemico radio channel over on the Discord server. If you guys would like to go and jam out with Mr. Stereo, I believe he'll probably be over there for a while playing some music, I would imagine. Sydney, Pruden, good to see you. Hugo, as always, good to see you, says drones. Yep, we can hear some drones coming in on our Gaza audio right now. Press Alpha, good to see you. Craig Johnson, good to see you as well. Kender, as always, good to see you. Lanny Who, I think I might have already mentioned you. Christopher Donison, I think I definitely already mentioned him. Leroy Jenkins, he's back in the chat. Beatles, good to see you. Nightcap, good to see you. John Banks. Got all sorts of familiar faces here and quite a few new ones as well. Joanne's Rupp, good to see you. Big shout out to everybody that's also tuning in over in Discord and over on Twitch. So big shout out to all you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of our amazing community. Again, we're going to get right into the news this evening. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Again, that big strike in Gaza this evening, which right now on the lower right-hand side of the screen, you guys are actually seeing a hospital there in Gaza City. We're also seeing some clips from over the course of the night, kind of playing on a loop here in the middle, bottom, middle left there. But then you're seeing live shots of Jerusalem, Israel, and Ashdod, Israel, in the top left and right, brought to us by Same Wavelength. Big shout out to those guys. Actually, make sure you stay tuned in, guys, because at the end of the show tonight, we're going to be doing something special. I have a little bit of an idea that I came up with earlier that we're going to attempt. We're going to try out. We're going to go and we're going to take a look at all of the other open source intelligence channels currently live streaming this conflict. We're going to go raid their channels and we're going to subscribe to each and every one of their channels and show them a little love and kind of give back to the open source intelligence community, because those guys are working their asses off to bring people live feeds and intel and reports on what's going on in this conflict. And so I felt like it'd be a pretty cool idea if we kind of gave back to the community, and we go and we're going to raid a channel at a time and leave comments and stuff and subscribe to them. So we're going to do that at the end of the show, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Zal Escobar, good to see you as well. Says, nice to hear from you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So I know Hugo's saying the IDF have gone in. Yes, they have gone in some limited capacity, but this ground invasion that we've been talking about for the past few days is not fully underway at this time. However, they are still moving pieces into play. They're still moving around logistical assets and armored vehicles and soldiers and all sorts of stuff, getting things into place for this possible ground invasion. First thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to take a look at the live universal awareness map for some open source intelligence reports. We're going to see what's been going on for the past few hours here. And then we're going to start going through some main articles after that. We're going to be talking about things, breaking things down. Gregory Lane, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Glad to have you. U.S. Patriot, good to see you. Miss Chris, good to see you as well. Big shout out to all of our new members, by the way. We have a lot of new members that joined the channel on Monday when we were streaming some breaking news for you guys. So again, starting here at the 3 hours mark, we have a shooting targeted an army point near the Evnei settlement southeast of Tulkarm. Again, I ask everybody to bear with me with these Israeli name pronunciations. It took me a good year or so to get good at pronouncing Ukrainian town names and stuff, so again, I ask you to bear with me. 3 hours ago, Lebanon's Hezbollah announces, quote, a day of unprecedented anger against Israel. I think at this point it's kind of safe to say that Hezbollah is getting involved here in this conflict pretty significantly. Over the past week, we've been seeing all these border clashes between Hezbollah and Israel and the Lebanon border, the Lebanese border there, and I think it's only going to continue to heat up over the coming days. That's my assessment, at least, of the ongoing situation. 3 hours ago, we have surveillance camera footage from Netiv Hassara, which is showing a large barrage of rockets being launched from northern Gaza, so from northern Gaza into Israel, followed by massive blast in the Strip, apparently caused by a failed projectile. So they're thinking, and this is kind of what the initial reports are kind of leading to, is that Hamas launched rockets from northern Gaza, and a blast happened somewhere else within the Gaza Strip, again, due to that failed projectile. Let's go take a look at this video here. So again, the audio we're hearing in the background is live coming out of Israel. We're going to keep that going for the remainder of the show. So if we hear, explosions or sirens or anything like that going off, we'll be able to switch over to those cameras and take a look at what is going on. Detective Wisdom, good to see you. Says, hi, Nemico. I see you are having a busy night with all that is happening. We have quite a bit of news. To say that it is a busy night is kind of an understatement. Let me move this chat out of the way for you guys. Let's tuck it down here a little more so it's kind of out of the way. But I still want it so it's kind of on screen. But yeah, we have a lot of news to go over tonight. A lot of stuff to talk about. So we're going to kind of just start working our way through it all because we got quite a bit of stuff. Also, keep in mind, guys, if you have anything interesting, post it over in the Situation Room on the Discord. And I'll try my best. Towards the end of the show, we'll kind of dip in there and take a look at some of the posts and some of the videos that are floating around right now and kind of see what's going on. So again, this video here showing those rockets being launched from northern Gaza. You can see them here on screen towards the right side. Also, guys, quick reminder to hydrate. Or as I've heard said in the past, hydrate or dihydrate. You know, a lot of us are pulling extended hours, staying up and following this conflict, and some of us reporting on this conflict. And you know, it's always a good reminder to stay hydrated. So you see the explosion there on the screen. So again, apparently due to a failed projectile. So what's interesting, actually, so I'm not sure if that clip was cut. Might have been cut. Not sure if that's from the same projectiles going there. The trajectory doesn't look like it would line up unless maybe a rocket, you know, instantly cut out there and fell over yonder. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide what you think. I guess we should probably be getting a live chat poll in order for this evening. I think I have a good question I would like to ask you guys this evening. I forgot to get the poll up earlier, so this would be a good time to get that going, so that towards the end of the show we can end it off and take a look at the results. I'm going to ask you guys, do you think that Israel is going to go forward with its ground invasion here? So let me get that typed up for you. So the question is, do you think that Israel is going to go ahead with their ground invasion of Gaza? Simple yes or no question. All right? There seems to be some division on this topic. The poll is up now. Go ahead over there and get your vote in. And at the end of the show, we'll take a look at the results and see what everybody seems to think. You know, it's very interesting how polarized, you know, like, so it was very, you know, binary with, you know, the Ukrainian conflict, you know, with our chat and stuff. You had a lot of Russians, a lot of pro-Russian people in the chat, and a lot of pro-Ukrainians in the chat, too. Some have said that this conflict is even more polarizing, you know, that there's, you know, more sides at play here, and, you know, there's a lot of division on this subject. I'm kind of still trying to get the, you know, the feeling for kind of the demographics, you know, of opinion here, so to speak. So this is a good question, you know what I mean, to kind of gauge what people think here. Do you think that Israel's going to go ahead with their ground invasion of Gaza? Next up here in our live universal awareness map, 3 hours ago, 2 injuries, one of them serious, were injured by Army gunfire during confrontations in the village of Nabi Saleh, northwest of Ramallah. So again, more isolated small conflicts happening. 3 hours ago, the Israeli army, in response to the shooting incidents towards Israel from Lebanon, from Hezbollah, I should say, over the last few days, a short while ago, Israeli army fighter jets struck an observation post and military infrastructure belonging to the Hezbollah organization in Lebanon. No doubt that they are kicking the hornet's nest, so to speak, stirring the hornet's nest. I mean, I can say with some certainty that Hezbollah is most likely fully involved at this point with the way things are going on that border with Lebanon. Harlan Martin, good to see you, says, what's up, Nemico from Texas, the fine state of Texas. Good to see you, man. Anthony Cass, good to see you. Says that was a straight-up airstrike we saw. Alrighty, so 3 hours ago, military aircraft carry out violent airstrikes west of Gaza City. Let's take a look where that occurred. You can see on the map here. If it'll show me. There we go. So you can see where those airstrikes occurred in Gaza City. You can see just how much it's happening. This is why they, were evacuating northern Gaza and telling people to move south. It's because a lot of these strikes are happening up here in the north of the country. 4 hours ago, an armed clash between Palestinian militants and Israeli forces near the Deir Sharaf checkpoint northwest of Nablus. You can see where that is located there. So again, all of Israel in Gaza at this moment is basically engulfed in conflict. The northern border here with Lebanon definitely escalating quite rapidly. 4 hours ago, more isolated confrontations here, violent confrontations, they say, between rioters and Israeli forces in the Shafet refugee camp in Jerusalem. Again, that's another reason why we have that Jerusalem camera up on screen here tonight over in our Situation Room. Because things are happening all over Israel this evening and Gaza. A lot of activity occurring this evening. That is for sure. So again, in the lower right there, you can see that Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. Top right, Ashdod, Israel. Top left, Jerusalem. And bottom left is looped footage from this evening that you are seeing there. Classical Potato says, Nemico's back, checking in from Utah. Thank you for checking in, Classical Potato. Beautiful name, beautiful person. Love to have you. Digit, good to see you. Scott C., good to see you. Epi Moo, as always, good to see you. Bork, good to see you as well. Miss Tiger Eye says, sorry I'm late. No, don't be sorry, Miss Tiger Eye. Late is better than never, as they say. All right, 4 hours ago here, and I have more to talk about Iran later in tonight's show, so stick around for that. Iran has declared a day of mourning tomorrow on Wednesday across the country, strongly condemning the Israeli attack on a hospital in Gaza. The statement urged Muslim countries to sever ties with Israel and expel its ambassadors. Let's head back over to our screen here. Paul, good to see you tonight. Roger, good to see you as well. As Roger says, we don't know who targeted the hospital yet. We're going to talk about that here shortly, so stay tuned. Don't worry. That's my first breaking news story that we're going to go through for the night once we get done with these live universal awareness updates here. 4 hours ago, the Islamic Jihad movement denies, quote, Israel's allegations that the movement is responsible for a hospital strike in Gaza. Azal Escobar says, this is the right time to keep watch on Iran, now that Israel has been accused of bombing a hospital. Exactly. They're talking about this day of mourning tomorrow. First they mourn, and then they possibly retaliate. Again, that's something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. Israel has been, making it known that they are, not going to stand idly by and let Israel do this. So again, it's kind of a guessing game. We got to wait and see. It's a waiting game, I should say. We got to wait and see what Iran. Well, first what Israel does and what Iran decides to do in tandem. 4 hours ago, a massive march in the city of Sidon, Lebanon, in condemnation of an attack in the Baptist hospital in Gaza. We'll be talking about this hospital attack in greater detail as we go through the show tonight. But let's take a look at this video here. So this is the video of that demonstration. So again, a pretty powerful demonstration, and no doubt there are many more like it occurring across the Middle East at this hour. Current time in Israel. Let's head back over to our Situation Room really quick, because somebody asked what time it was in Israel. I have the clock here on the bottom left set to Israel. time slash Gaza time, which I believe is only a few minutes apart. 3:12 a.m. Gaza time at the moment. So keep an eye, guys. This is kind of a really active time of night around 3 a.m. It's when a lot of bombings and airstrikes have been happening. Is late night. I should say all night, actually, would be more accurate. 4 hours ago, World Health Organization says the attack on the Baptist Hospital in Gaza is unprecedented. Authorities, security forces, fire live bullets at demonstrators from the town of Silwad in Al-Taybeh, near Ramallah. It was 4 hours ago. Again, let's take a look at the footage. And probably should go back over to our screen so we can see that. Let me start the footage over here for you. Again, this is some shots being fired here.
بطخ صايب بعرض خوات إنه بطخ صايب. أيوة بحا.
James Collin, good to see you, says, hell yes, Nemico's back. Missed you. Well, we missed you, James. Good to see you. Again, for those just tuning in, we're watching some footage here of some shots that were fired at some demonstrators from the town of Silwad in Al-Taybeh. It's near Ramallah, and you can see on the map where that is located there. Haine, I call on the peoples of Arab and Islamic Nation to come out in condemnation of this brutal massacre. So people, again, condemning this attack that has happened at this hospital. They're saying almost 500 are dead. In fact, you know, let's skip right over into our. We'll come back to our live UA map. But first, I would like to find where I put the article. Here we go. From the BBC. Israel is sharing information on that blast with the U.S. Again, I'm going to first kind of skip down to the original article. And then we'll kind of go up through it. Actually, let's go to, hold on. We had one that was dedicated to the hospital. Ah, here we go. From The Guardian. This will do. All right, so hundreds feared dead after that blast at that hospital in Gaza. As Biden, President of the United States here, was set to fly in. Let's go ahead and read the article to you, and I'll also play the video for everybody so they can see that as well. Hundreds of people are reported to have died in a massive explosion at a hospital in Gaza City on the eve of Joe Biden's arrival for a visit that was intended to fend off the humanitarian disaster in Gaza and prevent the conflict escalating into a regional war. The Gaza Health Ministry, which is run by Hamas, claimed that more than 500 people had been killed in an Israeli airstrike on the Al-Hali Arabi Baptist Hospital, which, if confirmed, would make it the deadliest single bombing of all the 5 wars in Israel and Hamas have ever fought over Gaza. An official from Gaza Civil Defense said more than 300 people had been killed in the blast. Now, I'd like to, make a point that it hasn't been confirmed who bombed the hospital yet. We still don't have enough information. So, again, take everything you hear with a grain of salt, both here and elsewhere, okay, until we know more information about this. Again, it's kind of a guessing game here. And, again, they said that, that official from Gaza Civil Defense said more than 300 people had been killed in the blast. I now am hearing death tolls upwards of 500 to 600. Possibly will be more at the end of that. They're still taking people out of the rubble. This is fresh news. This happened just today. So, Samuel Martinez, good to see us. Says, wait, Nemico, you're back. Indeed, we are. We are back here live, streaming for you guys. Tazaka, good to see you. Digit says, Nemico back, all right. Digit, why don't you have a mod? Are you the same? I'm pretty sure you're the same Discord, Digit. I mean, who else would have a Nemico logo here? I feel like you should have mod on the YouTube channel as well for the live chat. There we go. That's better. Lori H., good to see ya. Good to see ya. Says, hey from Houston. Me, good to see you as well. It says, I missed the little bald avatar head in the corner. Yeah, we're not using that anymore. Yep, so... Digit, you should be added as a moderator now. If not, I might have to... Might have to do that later. Yeah, it's not letting me. Well, we'll have to do it later. I'll put that in the list. Anyway, so back again to this bombing in Israel. The Israeli military denied responsibility, suggesting the hospital was hit by a rocket barrage launched by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant group. Islamic Jihad also denied responsibility, saying, quote, the occupation is trying to cover for the horrifying crime and massacre that they have committed against civilians. Now again, just to reiterate, nobody has been confirmed to have done this yet. Again, we don't have enough information at this time. We're still waiting on more details to emerge here. As I've talked about many times over the course of covering the Ukraine war, it takes a while. It takes sometimes weeks to get concrete information on what happened, days if not weeks, for investigations to go forward and find out exactly what happened. Who launched the missiles or missile, and who is the culprit. The bombing of the hospital threw a dark shadow over Biden's visit on Wednesday, which was already the most difficult and critical foreign trip of his presidency. Late on Tuesday, Jordan canceled a summit in Amman, where Biden had been due to hold talks with King Abdullah and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi after the U.S. president's visit to Israel. Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, told Al Jazeera the summit was canceled because, quote, there is no use in talking now about anything except stopping the war. Again, as this escalates very rapidly, a lot of these Middle Eastern countries are, kind of in a panic here, trying to figure out how they're going to stop this and how they're going to kind of, throw some water on the flames, so to speak, put out the fire before this, gets further out of control than it already is. Honestly, at the point it's at now, it's kind of hard to see things being ratcheted back, especially after such a large attack on a hospital like this. I mean, 500 people dead. That's that's quite an extensive number of people that have lost their lives. So again, I don't think any side is going to take that very likely. Yumi, good to see you, says Nemico. Greetings. First found you at the beginning of the Ukraine war. Wonderful to see you cover the Israel war. It's getting very bad. Indeed, it is getting pretty rough. So again, we're going to get you guys all filled in on what is going on this evening. Again, if you guys haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. We have about 230 odd people tuning in this evening, and only about 111 have hit that like button. If I could get another 130 of you guys real quick to go ahead and hit that like button for us, it would be greatly appreciated. Go ahead and share this stream real quick. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's the best way to get access to the live chat. Make sure you check out the description below. It has links to all of our tools that we use, all of our open source intelligence tools. Well, not all of them. There's more of them listed over in the Discord server, but you can find a link to the Discord server down there, as well as links to a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, make sure to hit that like button, guys. Go ahead, do it for me real quick so we can continue on this evening. We got to cater to the algorithm here on YouTube. YouTube does not like this kind of coverage, let me tell you. All right, so they do not like recommending this sort of stuff in feeds. We're showing you guys the real unfiltered news here. I know right now we're just going through some articles here, from some mainstream news websites, but I like to start with that, kind of set the stage, and then we kind of get into the more specific stuff. We watch videos, we get into the open source intelligence data and stuff later in the show. Big Al, good to see you as well. Good to see you. Dustin Mayat, good to see you. Iran playing a dangerous game. That is true. Yeah, as Matt says, the 500 number is literally just taking Hamas on their word. That is true. However, from the video, the clips I've seen tonight coming out of Gaza, from some of the reports I've seen coming out of Gaza, there at least is a couple hundred that are dead here in this hospital strike. But yes, that is a good point to make. And again, as I said earlier, take everything you guys hear with a grain of salt until more facts and more evidence emerges. In a statement, Abbas said, "What is taking place?" By the way, this is the Palestinian president, so keep that in mind. He says, "What is taking place is genocide. We call on the international community to intervene immediately to stop this massacre. Silence is no longer acceptable." Now, again, I like to reiterate, there's a difference here between the Palestinian government and Hamas. Okay, but you have to take whatever comes out of Palestine, whatever comes out of any region that is at war, take it with a grain of salt, and again, until proven otherwise, until we have more facts and more evidence on the table. So again, as I was talking about earlier, protests have broke out across the West Bank after that hospital blast, and in Ramallah, again, which would play into Hamas's hand. It would play into the into Hamas's hand if they had carried out this bombing, or if an Islamic actor had carried out this bombing, it would play into their hand. Again, you see this backlash happening, which could, force Israel's hand into pulling away from their ground invasion. That could be a play that we're seeing here, so keep that in mind. But again, what it says here is protests have broke out across the West Bank after that hospital blast. And in Ramallah, the seat of the Palestinian Authority, demonstrators threw rocks at the Palestinian security forces who fired on the crowds with stun grenades. I know we showed some footage of some of that earlier this evening on the stream. And, again, I see all sorts. I'm looking at the live chat here. There's all sorts of people, asking about this, this event, this and this and this. And it's like there's so much occurring here. On an hourly basis. The news is evolving so rapidly, you guys, that, again, there's so much happening. It's really hard to filter through what's going on. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So we're going to try to touch on everything. I know, everybody has, a lot of questions about what's going on. They're hearing a lot of different things. It's extremely confusing. It's almost just as confusing, if not more so, than what we saw at the start of the Ukraine war, which I thought was, an absolute, pardon my French, clusterfuck when it comes to information and just the saturation of information that we were seeing. But this is there's more actors at play here. Okay, you don't just have a binary war, between, I know there's other people involved in the Ukraine war, but it's primarily Ukraine and Russia, where what we have going on here, you have, very deep involvement by the U.S. with Israel. You have Turkey that's involved, Iran is involved, Lebanon is involved, of course, Gaza and Palestine is involved. So there's many, but then you have, a different subset of involvement, by Hamas, Hezbollah, the Islamic State, all sorts of these, the different other government actors, etc. There's so much going on here that it is extremely hard to kind of make sense of stuff, and that's why, again, I tell people to just take everything you hear with a grain of salt and look at the facts, look what we're seeing, and almost give it some lag time. Wait a day or so before you start making assessments. Because we need more information, need more video, you need more data, Michael Tatro, good to see you as well. Says, may I post a YouTube link for you to look at? Very interesting. You can go ahead and post as many links as you want. If you're over in the Discord, we recommend posting stuff in the Situation Room over on the Discord. That's the best place to put stuff if it's related to the ongoing conflicts, both in Iran, in Israel and Gaza, and in Ukraine. If it's related to like North Korea, China, Taiwan, or any other important situations, you're welcome to put stuff in the Situation Room. If it has substance to it, we are happy to take a look at it. Yeah, the Discord is always the best place to be sharing reports and intel, so keep that in mind, guys. Crypto Santa Claus, good to see you, says, as always, from Denmark. Good to see we got some good guys tuning in from Denmark this evening. We have people tuning in from all corners of the globe tonight. We got people tuning in from Australia, New Zealand. I saw some people tuning in from from Europe, a bunch of different European countries. We got guys tuning in from Mexico, South America, here in the States, a bunch of different states, Texas. Yeah, feel free, guys, to let us... Wisconsin, Wolf of Saturn is tuning in from Wisconsin. Feel free to let us know where you're tuning in from tonight, and I'll try to read off some of them. So again, kind of moving, let's go back to our live UA map and kind of go, again, I like to stick to our open source intel here. We will start going through, I have a whole laundry list of mainstream news articles that I want to show you guys. And again, I use that keyword, mainstream news articles, because, you know, it's kind of, it's a good way to kind of get the good gist of what's going on and what the narrative is. It's not a good source to get your news. I would recommend getting your news from open source intelligence platforms, things like Live UA Map, things like our Discord is a great place to get news and information. Go and look at different sources. You know, put the pieces together yourself. But if you want to look at narrative, if you want to look at how they're building the narrative, how each side is pushing their narrative, go and look at, again, those mainstream news articles. We have a whole bunch of them that we're going to cover later this evening, and we'll talk about that. Ninjax is tuning in from Connecticut. Good to see ya. Epimoo, of course, tuning in from Scotland. Unit 731 says Vatican City. That would be pretty crazy if you were actually tuning in from Vatican City. I don't think I've ever had anybody tuning in from the Vatican. Maryland says Detective Wisdom. Good to see ya. AC Mommy 26 says British Columbia, Canada. Good to see you as well. Glad to see ya. Michael Tatro, Georgia, USA here. Got to have somebody tune in from Georgia. Not Pocky says Michigan. Goodbot says Connecticut. Dave Anderson says Maryland. Yumi says Virginia here. Miss Chris says the Discord is great, very informative. I agree. Great place to get information over in the Nemico Discord, guys. Make sure you join it. There's a link to that in the description below. DJ Felix says Southwest Michigan. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Alrighty, guys. So again, back to the live UA map. We're up here at the 5 hours mark. An armed clash between Palestinian fighters and the army at the Qualadia checkpoint north of Jerusalem. That's between Palestinian fighters and, again, the Israeli army. So not just activity happening inside Gaza, guys. There's stuff happening all over Israel, including right in the heart of Jerusalem there. I guess that's north of Jerusalem, but it's still very close to Jerusalem. 5 hours ago, reports that protesters are trying to break into the Israeli embassy in Amman, Jordan. That's 5 hours ago. So not only do we have activity happening all over Israel, up on the Lebanese border, but there's also activity happening in Jordan at the moment. Again, protesters are trying to break into the Israeli embassy in Amman in Jordan. That's 5 hours ago that report came out. That's 01 Delicious, says Florida Man, tuning in from Orlando, Florida. Great to have you tonight. Larry D, good to see you, says great to see you again, Nemico. Great to see you covering the Israeli theater of war. Thank you very much, Larry D, for tuning in this evening. Biz Lobo says hello from Portugal. Good to see you back, Nemico. Good to see you as well, Biz Lobo. Great to have you as always. 5 hours ago, all Qassam brigades says we bombed the Israeli Ramon air base with a missile barrage in response to targeting civilians. This comes 5 hours ago where that occurred there. Civil Defense in Gaza says our capabilities are less than necessary to respond to the targeting of the Al-Babtisti Hospital in Gaza. Again, referring to that major strike that occurred earlier this evening by an unknown party, causing an unknown quantity of casualties. Again, we will go look at some more articles about that later in tonight's stream. All right, it says here, Al-Qassam brigades says, we bombed Tel Aviv in response to the massacre against civilians in Gaza. So again, that occurred in Tel Aviv, Israel. That was just 5 hours ago. So again, I don't know if you guys can already see here how rapidly things are occurring. It's a very, very rapid, again, a very saturated environment here when it comes to events occurring. 5 hours ago, authority security services suppress a march in support of Gaza in Jenin, and a young man is injured by bullets. 5 hours ago, shooting targeting the Homesh settlement between Jenin and Nablus. So again, stuff happening in that area as well. 5 hours ago, senior Palestinian official says President Mahmoud Abbas canceled his planned meeting Wednesday with President Biden. Again, we have a bigger article about that. I'll talk more about that later this evening, kind of the narrative behind that. 5 hours ago, Secretary General of the Arab League says, I condemn the bombing of the Baptiste Hospital, and I call on the West to stop this tragedy immediately. And actually, on our cameras, we actually are hearing some fighter jet noises at this very moment. I believe that audio is coming from the Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City, that we are hearing that jet sound. Definitely hearing some explosions there as well. I heard a couple booms. Lugnut Entertainment, I appreciate, man. Thank you. I didn't see any flashes on the screen. Again, keep in mind that bottom cam, the bottom middle cam is looped footage from earlier this evening, so ignore that. But on the Al-Shifa Hospital cam there, I was hearing those fighter jets flying over, and I think I'm seeing some people possibly clearing the courtyard there. I don't know. Again, I did hear probably a few booms there. Yeah, Wolf of Saturn says, I saw a flash when you said hearing an explosion. Yeah, hearing some definite sounds of fighter jets in the air there. Oh, yeah. So again, I'll continue reading these open source intelligence updates. I'll just read them off as we watch these cameras here, guys, and listen to those fighter jets that are currently flying above Gaza. I can hear them pretty clearly now. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'll bump up our volume a little bit on that audio channel. If you listen closely, you can hear those fighter jets in the background there, if I would stop talking. Again, so bottom left, guys, is a compilation of clips from the past 5 to 8 hours. The audio and the other 3 cameras are live cams out of Al-Shifa Hospital, Gaza City, Ashdod, Israel, and Jerusalem, Israel. And we're hearing audio right now coming from Gaza City in that bottom right cam. And again, if you listen closely, you can hear those aren't drones. Those are, well, actually, yes, you can hear the drones as well. But right there, that's fighter jets. That's fighter jets right there, and then you hear what sounds like an airplane. That's the drone. The droning noise is the drone. Somebody said they heard rescue choppers. Yeah, you might have heard some chopper noise as well, but that's definitely fighter jet that I'm hearing there. It's the roar of maybe an F-16 or F-18. I'm not sure exactly what the Israelis are flying. F-15. So F-15, F-16s. Yeah, the droning the droning noise is a drone. There's 2 noises we're hearing. We're hearing the droning noise, again, which is the drones which we've been hearing all week. But if you listen closely, you can also hear some fighters in the background as well. Yeah, they fly a lot of F-15s. They got a lot of F-16s. the F-35 Adir. Yep, they have some F-35s as well. Yeah. Uranus says the droning noise is a drone. Nemico 2023. Poetry in motion, he says. All right, I'm going to continue as we watch these cams. I'm going to continue to read you guys these articles here. President of Turkey said targeting a hospital is the latest example of Israel's attacks lacking basic human values. So, Turkey going right off the bat, you know, full force at Israel, basically just blaming them for the strike. Again, we still haven't confirmed if it was Israel or not, but it is possible. Again, I don't want to rule out any possibilities here. It could have possibly been another actor. It could have been Hamas, possibly. Again, as I was talking about earlier, there's many different possibilities to why they would do that. It's definitely caused some bit of uprising in different parts of Israel. Yeah, we've seen a lot of protests and demonstrations over the course of the night. Right there, you hear that? You hear that, guys? That's the fighters right there that we're hearing. And they are pretty close. And there were some booms there. Johnny Yuma, good to see you. Glad to have you tuning in tonight. Alex Tuttle, good to see you as well. We're in the middle of talking about the Israeli conflict, guys, for those just tuning in. We're looking at a couple live shots from Israel and Gaza, and we're currently hearing some fighter jets and drones flying around, doing some activities here in Gaza. We heard a couple booms there as well. Next up, Jordanian Foreign Ministry says we condemn the Israeli bombing of the Baptist Hospital in the strongest terms and hold Israel responsible for this dangerous development. 5 hours ago, a young man was injured by Palestinian Authority security bullets after passing a march denouncing the massacre of the hospital next to Makwatas in Jenin. 5 hours ago, shooting at an army camp in Abu Dis, east of Jerusalem, after a march denouncing the Baptist hospital massacre occurred. 5 hours ago, Hamas says it will release all civilian hostages in an hour if Israel stops bombing Gaza. This was 5 hours ago. This is a pretty significant post, actually. I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen here. You should be able to... Okay, I lost my mouse. Right here, you guys see this up here, this post. It says, Hamas says it will release all civilian hostages in an hour if Israel stops bombing Gaza. Very interesting. Rocket alert sirens sound in Ashkelon and Gaza border communities. Hearing more fighter jets in the audio there. Six hours ago, the Israeli army, following the initial report regarding sirens sounded in northern Israel, no target was identified infiltrating into Israeli airspace. 6 hours ago, more than 15 dead as a result of the bombing of two homes belonging to Al Astal and Hamdan families west of Khan Yunis. 6 hours ago, the Israeli army says we have no information about the reports of a hospital bombing in Gaza. Finally, 6 hours ago here, we have video showing a moment of when the Al-Hali Arab Hospital in Gaza City was bombed. Let's take a look at that footage there. Again, here you can hear the drone pretty loud now in the audio. So I take it the drone is doing like a circular holding pattern, probably a racetrack holding pattern over a target area, and that's why we're hearing it get softer and then louder. Let me switch back over to our cam here, though. Or not our cam, but our main screen so we can see this video. Again, this is a video that says Israeli warplanes bombed the Al-Hali Arab hospital in Gaza City. It's the Baptiste hospital we were talking about earlier. More than 800 Palestinians were bombed. So again, this report says 800. I've heard 200. I've heard 300. From reports I've seen coming out, I would guess it's at least a couple hundred so far. Filthy says, I'm hearing heaps of stuff about Iranian troops getting involved in the next few hours. That's something we're going to talk about more at the end of the show. I have a whole bunch of stuff lined up here this evening. Jack Williams, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kendra says, a large crowd is attempting to break into the American military base in Karik, Turkey. I haven't heard anything about that yet. That's the first thing I've heard of that. I'll have to take a look at that here in a minute. All right, let's take a look at this video here. Again, this is a video showing that bombing occur at that hospital. Let's take a look.
Ya Allah! Ya Allah! Ya Allah! Ya Rab!
Looks like some pretty significant ordnance was used there. One single incoming missile, from the looks of it. "7 hours ago, injuries in the bombing of the Al-Astal family's house behind the battalion in Khan Yunis." That's, again, related to another report I was mentioning earlier. 7 hours ago, an Israeli raid northeast of Rafah. Oh, we're hearing some booms. We're hearing some more booms. Is our main Gaza cam back up yet? I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it is. We have a couple different cams, and I think both of those went down. Both of the main Gaza ones. Yeah, hearing definitely some fighter activity as well as some drone activity in the air. 7 hours ago, bombing of the Al-Hali hospital also targeted the Church of Saint Porphyrius, causing widespread destruction to the church. 7 hours ago, a complete power outage at the Al-Shifa hospital in the Gaza Strip. Spokesman for the Ministry of Health in Gaza says hundreds of casualties in the bombing of the Baptist Hotel in central Gaza. 8 hours ago, an Israeli official says we canceled a large number of our targets in Gaza to avoid human casualties. 8 hours ago, a heavy barrage in Tel Aviv and central Israel occurred. 8 hours ago, Al-Qassam brigades bombard Ashdod with a missile barrage. That was Ashdod, Israel. So again, many strikes happening within Israel here. 9 hours ago, several areas in southern Lebanon are bombed. 9 hours ago, Qatari report, the Biden administration warned the Iranian representative at the UN that if Iran intervenes directly in the conflict, the United States will act militarily. That's how sketchy this situation is, guys. This is the rhetoric being thrown around right now. All right, so if Iran does get involved, the U.S. is they're putting the gloves on, or taking the gloves off? Question mark. 9 hours ago, more rocket sirens sounding in parts of central Israel. So again, it's been a very busy 12 hours here for the people of Israel and for Gaza. Let's head back over to our main pointer screen here. If we hear anything else, we'll hop back over there. They're suiting up, yeah, says Z. They're putting the guns on, says Aries. Yeah, taking the gloves off is what I meant. 10 hours ago, Hamas claims responsibility for the rocket fire on central Israel. 2 interceptions, no reports of injuries or damage occurred. 10 hours ago, in southern Lebanon, renewed Israeli bombing on border areas in response to a number of attacks carried out by Hezbollah today. Israeli army, 10 hours ago, says it intercepted a UAV that came from Lebanon. So Lebanon, the Hezbollah sending in UAVs. There's border skirmishes happening there. All sorts of activity is happening both in the north and south and middle of Israel. So again, they're they're stretched pretty thin here on all sides. I mean, there's activity happening on the border with Jordan, on the border with Lebanon, and, of course, with Gaza as well. Jesse Marks, thank you so much for the super chat. I highly appreciate it. It helps me bring this news to you guys. Says, thanks, bud. Well, thank you, Jesse Marks. Thank you much. Appreciate it. So again, guys, it's about 330 people, give or take, currently tuning in over on YouTube. Only 190 likes. If I could get everybody really quick to go ahead and smash the like button for me. JDam, that like button. Missile Barrage, the like button for us real quick. It's important because we have to cater to the algorithm here on YouTube. YouTube does not like this sort of reporting. They don't like us showing you guys, war footage and stuff happening, live like this. So it's up to us to manually influence the algorithm. And we do that by spamming the like button, sharing the stream, commenting as much as you possibly can in that live chat, sharing this content, etc. But again, one of the biggest things to help that algorithm is to hit that like button. Again, it shows the algorithm that, hey, people like this stuff, and I might want to share this content to other people. Again, I thank you guys for tuning in this evening. Let's continue on here. So again, at the 10-hour mark, Palestinian Ministry of Health says about 3,000 dead and more than 12,500 wounded in the Gaza Strip as a result of Israeli attacks. 10 hours ago, new Israeli raids on the Shajia neighborhood in Gaza. 10 hours ago, 14 killed and a number of wounded in an aircraft bombing on the home of Hanea family in Sheikh Radwan neighborhood in Gaza City. Again, we talked about that earlier. 10 hours ago. Oh, we're hearing some fighter jets again. Very loud now. Guess we'll hop back over to our camera. So yeah, we are definitely hearing some pretty loud fighter jets coming inbound there. Again, guys, keep in mind that middle camera is footage from earlier this evening. But we are hearing live audio and footage down in the bottom right coming out of Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. Rick Pittman, good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Again, guys, remember we have a live chat poll going right now in the YouTube live chat. Go head over there and put your vote in at the end of the broadcast. We'll go ahead and we'll end that poll and we'll talk about the results a little bit towards the end of the stream tonight. Rick Pittman says he's tuning in from San Diego, California. Good to see you, Pittman. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. So I think with that, what we're going to do, I'm going to scroll through the rest of the live chat reports to see if there's any that are significant. 10 hours ago, Hezbollah says we targeted a gathering of soldiers in the Bernit barracks and caused a number of casualties, including 1 dead and 1 wounded. So again, they are in active conflict with the Israelis at this hour. Brent Matthews, good to see you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. 10 hours ago, heavy Israeli bombardment on sites in the Gaza Strip occurred at the 10-hour mark. 11 hours ago, the Egyptian foreign minister says Israel's call to displace the residents of Gaza to the south completely contradicts international humanitarian law. 11 hours ago, the Israeli army, says 2 rockets fired from Lebanon at northern Israel. One was intercepted by the Iron Dome. The second fell into an open area. No casualties were reported in that strike. 11 hours ago, intensive airstrikes on Gaza occurred at the 11-hour mark. 11 hours, United Nations Human Rights Office says the Israeli siege on Gaza and the evacuation order are a violation of international law. Interesting. Again, having some connection issues coming from a few of our streams, actually, I just noticed. Ours is looking good, but some of our incoming streams out of Israel and Gaza having some issues. Michael Tetro says, Nemico, where's this map at on the internet? You can go to israelpalestine.livemap.com. I believe there's a link to that in the description below. If one of my mods in the live chat wants to go ahead and link that to everybody, it would be highly appreciated. Again, we're looking at the live universal awareness map at israelpalestine.liveuamap.com. You can just go to liveuamap.com and then click the Israel-Palestine button. But they have a map for Ukraine, they have a map for the U.S., they have a map for Israel-Palestine, they have a map for Syria, and I'm pretty sure they have maps for almost all other regions, if I'm not mistaken. Matthew James asks a really good question, says, any updates on Steve the War Rooster? Well, I haven't heard from him this evening, but I suspect as we come on to the 5 or 6 o'clock hour in Gaza, we will start to hear from him. It is about 3:54 a.m., so coming up on the 4 o'clock hour here in Israel. We're about an hour into our live stream broadcast this evening. 11 hours ago, Hezbollah says we targeted Israeli soldiers stationed in the Bayad Bilda site with guided missiles and achieved confirmed casualties. So Hezbollah taking the fight to Israel, and Israel is definitely retaliating. That is without a doubt. Yeah, a lot of people saying big protest in Turkey. I've seen a bunch of different news coming out this evening about Turkey. Let's go ahead and refresh the live UA map. So nothing new here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start going through some of our main headline articles for this evening and talk about a few things. Ami asks, what was Mehmet's cat named? It was Dasha. Dasha the cat. Savior of Ukraine. President Joe Biden will no longer visit Jordan as a part of his Middle East trip this week after a leaders' summit on humanitarian aid for Palestinians was abruptly canceled Tuesday. The decision was made as unrest across the region swelled in response to the deadly bombings of a hospital in Gaza. Biden had been scheduled to meet with Jordan's King Abdullah, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas after first visiting Israel. Quote, there is no use in talking now, they said, except talk about anything except for stopping the war. So again, Biden probably not coming to the region, at least this week. The Gaza humanitarian crisis worsens, but Biden says Israelis have to go after Hamas, they say. The Israel-Hamas war is expected to ramp up with a looming Israeli ground invasion of Gaza, where a humanitarian crisis is deepening. Israel has pounded the Palestinian territory with airstrikes since Hamas militants fired barrages of rockets and stormed into the Jewish state on a murderous rampage last weekend. In an interview with 60 Minutes, President Biden said Israel has to respond. They have to go after Hamas, but warned that an Israeli occupation of Gaza would be a big mistake. The UN said almost 1 million Gaza residents have been displaced since the war started last week, but many following Israel's warning to flee to the southern half of the territory as food, water, and fuel run short. The only exit from Gaza, the Rafah border crossing into Egypt, remained closed Monday. Both Israel and Hamas denied reports of a temporary ceasefire in Gaza to enable humanitarian aid to enter in and foreigners to evacuate at the Rafah crossing. The death toll on both sides of the war continues to climb. Israel's military said Hamas's attack and ongoing rocket fire from Gaza has killed more than 1,300 people, including at least 276 troops, and injured 3,200 others. In Gaza, the health ministry said Monday that Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 2,750 people and wounded at least 9,700. For all you American folks out there, the death toll includes 30 U.S. citizens, a State Department spokesperson confirmed Sunday, and 13 Americans remain unaccounted for. I've also heard many accounts of Russians and Ukrainians and a few Canadians even missing. So, again, quite a dire situation. So again, what's been happening? Hundreds of people are feared dead after a huge explosion at that hospital in Gaza City, where Palestinians injured in the Israeli-Hamas war were being treated, while others were seeking safety after days of Israeli airstrikes. The Hamas-led authorities in Gaza say 500 people died in the explosion at the Al-Hali hospital there in Gaza. Hamas blamed Israel, which in turn blamed Palestinian militants, who deflected the blame. So again, everybody's kind of deflecting the blame onto each other. Michael Tatro says the IDF confirmed visual and audio proof will be released following Gaza hospital attack from Sky News Australia. So that's pretty interesting. So we'll have to take a look at that when that comes out. Again, I ask everybody to take everything you hear with a grain of salt about this hospital attack until we have evidence just like that. The BBC spoke with an unnamed doctor who was working at the hospital, which is funded by the Anglican Church, when the explosion occurred, and who said there was total devastation and that hundreds were killed or injured. Hamas said an Israeli airstrike on the hospital was to blame, describing it as, quote, a war crime, while Israel denied its military was involved and said the explosion was caused by rockets fired from Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Islamic Jihad, the second biggest militant group in the Gaza Strip, has denied responsibility. Again, so we don't just have Hamas in Gaza, but we also have the Islamic Jihad as well. The incident came not long after the UN said a school sheltering thousands of people in central Gaza was also hit, killing at least 6 people. There were also protests in occupied West Bank city of Ramallah on Tuesday night, with demonstrators opposed to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas clashing with security forces who responded by firing tear gas. From the New York Times here, the U.S. response to the Israel-Hamas war draws fury in the Middle East. The staunch support for Israel has stoked accusations of American hypocrisy, with Arab critics fearing a wholesale massacre of Palestinians in response to the deadly Hamas attacks. President Biden's trip to Israel on Wednesday will put him in a region where grief and fury are mounting, not only toward Israel, but also towards the United States, the world power that has declared unyielding support for its chief Middle East ally. On Tuesday, widespread condemnation of Israel's rippled across the region after a huge explosion at that hospital in Gaza killed hundreds of Palestinians who had been seeking treatment and refuge. Israel has denied being behind the blast, blaming another Palestinian group, the Islamic Jihad, for the failed rocket launch. But even before that, many people across the region had come to view Israel's war with Hamas, the Palestinian armed group that carried out a shocking attack on Israel last week, slaughtering 1,400 people, as an American-backed massacre of Palestinian civilians in the blocked territory of Gaza. Israel has cut off water, medicine, and electricity in the enclave and continued to target Gaza with deadly airstrikes, bringing the death toll to at least 2,800 before the hospital explosion. Many Arabs view the American government as being not only indifferent to the agony of Palestinians living under Israeli occupation, but also complicit in it. American pledges of ironclad support for the country and no-strings-attached security assistance have stoked those feelings as Israel prepares for a ground invasion of Gaza. And we just heard quite a significant explosion there on our Al-Shifa hospital camera. Yep, that's coming in from Al-Shifa Hospital, Gaza City. There, you see some people running for cover. A lot of people unfazed. I see a lot of people casually walking, but I saw a few people running for cover. So yeah, definitely some incoming fire we're hearing there. Again, coming out of Al-Shifa, the audio is coming from the Al-Shifa Hospital again, out of Gaza City. Let's go ahead and let's take a listen in for a few seconds here, see if we can hear anything. So again, hearing drones flying overhead. We're also here, again, just heard some incoming fire there. Not sure if that was artillery that we were hearing incoming, or if that was an airstrike possibly from one of those jets we were hearing. Again, it's kind of hard to tell. Moving on from CNN, we have hundreds killed in that blast. As the Israeli blockade cripples medical response. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that video that they have here. Actually, never mind. I thought that was for the hospital blast, but this is actually just for kind of the general humanitarian crisis that's coming out. So I'll go ahead and read some of the article here, and we'll take a look at some of the pictures that they have. Palestinian officials say hundreds were killed by that massive blast at the Gaza hospital on Tuesday as humanitarian concerns mount over Israel's deprivation of food, fuel, and electricity. Again, it's that Baptist church that we were talking about earlier. The Islamic Jihad group, again, a rival Islamic militant group, in Gaza says we did not strike that, and that the intelligence that we have suggests that it was a failed rocket launch. Oh, okay. So I think this is from the Israelis. They're saying we did not strike it, and that the intelligence that we have suggests that it was a failed rocket launch by the Islamic Jihad. And I want to add categorically that we do not intentionally strike any sensitive facilities, and definitely not any hospitals. Interesting. So it says Gaza has been under siege by Israel for more than a week in response to the deadly incursion by Hamas. Again, the Islamic militant group that controls the coastal enclave home to 2.2 million people. And I like to, remind people that Hamas has no relation to the Palestinian government. They are kind of a separate entity. Again, you're kind of seeing some of the photos of carnage here from this hospital attack. Some footage of some humanitarian aid that looks to have been brought in. This is at the Rafah crossing. For the New York Times, Biden faces risks in wartime visit to Israel. Presidential trip to Israel at such a critical moment poses enormous challenges for the White House in terms of both politics and security. President Biden will travel to Israel on Wednesday to show solidarity with America's closest ally in the Middle East, in a wartime trip to bolster the country's resolve to eradicate Hamas, but also to urge limits on what seems bound to be a casualty-filled ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. It will be a trip fraught with risks, both political and physical. The White House announced the visit on Monday. Hearing some jets incoming here on that Gaza City cam, by the way. I heard a boom in the distance. Yeah, it definitely sounds like we have some incoming here. Miss Tiger Eye asks, or says, I still don't know how they have power at that hospital. Most likely generators, backup generators. Possibly solar. definitely hearing some fighter jets there. Michael Tetro says, here's that clip from Sky News Australia about the hospital bombing. Go ahead and send it over, Michael. I'll take a look. Somebody asks what camera has audio. It's the bottom right. You can see the little audio bars there. In fact, I'll move the Gaza City marker out of the way. Actually, we don't even need that right now because we have that one. I guess I can put it here so people can... Actually, no, that's fine. That's fine like that. So yeah, we are getting audio out of that bottom right cam, guys. Again, back to the article here. It says, the White House announced the visit on Monday evening after Mr. Biden met with his top intelligence officials and his closest advisors in the Oval Office to debate whether to accept the invitation that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu extended over the weekend. In a briefing to reporters Monday night, John F. Kirby, a spokesperson for the National Security Council, said Mr. Biden would focus on, quote, the critical need for humanitarian assistance to get into Gaza, as well as the ability of innocent people to get out. So somebody in the live chat said that they had the clip from Sky News Australia about the hospital bombing that apparently was their proof in the pudding. If anybody has this clip, send it over. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, apparently this just came out, like, as we've been streaming. Yeah, we have a couple different live feeds of Gaza. I will probably change out a few. We'll put a few new ones up here shortly. Right now, though, we're going to focus on keeping the news going here. Hearing that drone circling back around at the moment, and we definitely heard some more fighter jets there hanging out. Again, we just heard some massive explosions just minutes ago here out of Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. Again, where that bombing occurred. Again, in the heart of Gaza City, mind you. Yeah, for those that, again, don't know, Cam 3, or the bottom left cam, are clips, are basically highlights from tonight. From about the past 5 to 8 hours is what you're seeing. So these were at sundown, again, this is kind of over the course of the night here, some of the different clips. There's also a few clips of the hospital attack in there as well. Again, just kind of, that's kind of a new thing we've been doing. So we have a couple live cams. The ones with the red circles are live cams. We have Cam 1, Jerusalem, out of Israel, Ashdod, Israel, and then finally Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. I have a few other Gaza City cams as well that we will get up later. A few of them had gone down earlier when I started this stream. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to put a big piece of text there that just says "not live." So here's some footage from earlier tonight. Actually, some people trying to flee bombings. I believe this might have been near that hospital, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Again, for those that don't know, we do have a live chat poll going this evening. The question is, do you think that Israel is going to go ahead with their ground invasion of Gaza? Make sure you go ahead over there and vote in that live chat poll. Also, I see a couple people just tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button real quick on your way in. Best way to get the algorithm's attention. Alrighty. So, next post we have tonight, this comes from Al Jazeera. It talks about Jordan canceling that Biden summit after hundreds killed in that Gaza hospital blast. We've covered this quite a bit tonight, but I'll read you just this paragraph here, which I think is kind of a good way to explain it. Gaddafi said the meeting would be held at a time when the parties could agree to end the war and the massacres against the Palestinians, blaming Israel with its military campaign for pushing the region, quote, to the brink of the abyss. Again, we're hearing fighter jets again, right? As soon as I click out of the camera screen, the fighter jets come back. Definitely hearing some fighters coming pretty close. And again, we just heard those explosions just minutes ago, so I'm kind of like, white knuckling it here. I don't want to, miss anything on these cams. So yeah, getting some buffering coming through on a few of our feeds all at once. Hopefully we don't lose everybody. Hopefully we do not lose everybody because we're getting a bunch of streams going down here. Corey Wingate and Leroy both ask, what is Nemico's endgame prediction? I don't like to make endgame predictions. This is interesting. We just lost streams from like every... We just lost all of our video streams here, guys. I'm still with you guys, though, right? Yeah, we got an excellent connection here. We're still streaming outbound. But all of our incoming video streams just went down. Somebody says ground invasion begins. Somebody in Discord just said all the streams are gone, so I guess the nukes finally went off. I hope not. Can somebody in Discord confirm if my stream is up or not? Can you guys still hear me? Oh, we're getting feeds back. We're getting the feeds back. So that's good. Did you guys lose me at all? Did you guys lose me at all? Or is it just the feeds coming out of Israel that went down? Sweet. Never lost you. Good. Awesome. Cool. So, or I mean, not cool. That's interesting because, you guys, we have feeds coming from most likely different telecom providers, and both just went down. Unit 731 puts it perfectly. Says the simulation corrected itself. That's the only explanation I can give. I mean, because we have streams coming from multiple different providers, and all of them clicked out there for a second. I don't know. Whatever. We're back. Somebody said EMP. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? At least we're still up and running. That's all that matters. All right. As we come to the hour-and-a-half mark here, we're going through our breaking news articles. This our main headlines for the evening. I like to say our mainstream news headlines for the evening. I try to like to make a point of that. We're looking at these again for narrative for narrative purpose, I guess. And we're kind of taking a look at kind of what the general story is, and that's what I like to do. And again, we're doing kind of a mix of open source stuff, and then the mainstream headlines, kind of as we go. Kind of get a look at kind of this, the general idea of what's going on, and also the specifics. All right, so next up here, I'm going to switch over. It looks like we have an ambulance actually coming in here at the hospital. We got a lot of people hanging out at the hospital, I noticed. I got some TV news cameras set up down below as well. All right, we're going to head over to our main screen again, and as soon as I do this, we're going to hear fighter jets coming back. From AP News, UN Secretary Council rejects Russia's resolution on Gaza that fails to mention Hamas. The United Nations, the UN Security Council rejected a Russian resolution Monday night that condemned violence and terrorism against civilians, but made no mention of Hamas, whose surprise attacked Israel and killed 1,300 Israelis, again, which was the worst Jewish massacre since the World War II Nazi Holocaust. Patrick says the hospital cam is like a minute behind. Let's go ahead and I want to make sure I got that updated. All right, we should be current now on the hospital cam. Thank you, me. Who was that said that? Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, for alerting me of that. Much appreciated. Highly appreciated. This is a team effort here, guys. Team effort. Only 4 countries joined Russia in voting for the resolution. China, the United Arab Emirates, Mozambique, and Gabon. 4 countries voted against it: the United States, Britain, France, and Japan. The other 6 countries abstained. Adoption needs a minimum of 9 yes votes in the 15-member council. The UN's most powerful body, which is charged with maintaining international peace and security, has failed to respond to Hamas' October 7th attack on Israel and to Israel's response, with those retaliatory airstrikes that have killed 2,750 people, and an order to Gazans in the north to head to the south to avoid an expected ground war. Britain's UN ambassador, Barbara Woodward, said it would be, quote, unconscionable for this council to ignore the largest terror attack in Israel's history. Again, this is directly from the United Nations website talking about the same thing. Again, the draft text had called for a humanitarian ceasefire, release of all hostages, aid access, and safe evacuation of civilians. In some Ukraine news this evening, Ukraine uses U.S.-supplied ATACMS long-range missiles for the first time in an attack on Russian air bases, plural, I should say. Out of Kyiv, Ukraine has used U.S.-supplied ATACMS long-range missiles for the first time in its war against Russia, hitting 2 Russian air bases in occupied Ukrainian territory in strikes that Ukraine and some Russian sources said had caused significant damage. The missiles hit a Russian military airfield in Berdyansk in southern Ukraine and another in Lugansk in the northeast on Tuesday, according to both Russian and Ukrainian officials. Ukraine's general staff said the attacks had destroyed 9 helicopters as well as an ammunition dump, air defense system, and also damaged the airfield's runways. Russian officials did not provide details on the scale of the damage, but one prominent Russian pro-war blogger wrote the strikes were perhaps the most serious against Russian military aviation since the start of the invasion. 600 days into the war in Ukraine, Russia's assault on a key eastern Ukraine city appears to be weakening. Kyiv, Ukraine, a days-long attempt by Russian forces to storm the strategically important city in eastern Ukraine, appears to be running out of steam, Kyiv officials said Monday as the Kremlin's war entered its 600th day. Ukrainian forces repelled 15 Russian attacks from the 4 directions on Avdiivka over the previous 24 hours, the Ukrainian General Staff had said. That compared with up to 60 attacks in a day in the middle of last week, according to Vitaly Babarash, head of the city administration. The slackening suggests the Russian effort to capture Avdiivka has deflated. A Washington-based think tank broadly concurred with that assessment, said Russian forces continued offensive operations aimed at encircling Avdiivka, but have yet to make further gains amid a likely decreasing tempo of Russian operations in the area. The Institute for the Study of War said in an analysis published late Sunday. Again, we're coming up to winter here, and so no doubt we will see probably a slowdown of activity in the Ukraine. Again, for those here to follow the Israeli situation, don't go anywhere. We're just touching bases on a few Ukraine topics, and then we're going to be right back into the Israeli conflict. And I have just 2 or 3 articles here to go over that are Ukraine-related. When we get back to the Israeli stuff, we're going to be discussing Iran, which is kind of my big news for tonight, talking about Iran's possible involvement here. Our next post here, coming from AP News, says Ukraine uses that U.S.-provided long-range ATACMS missiles against Russian forces for the first time. Again, we just talked about that a second ago. It says, today I express special gratitude to the United States, Zelensky said in his evening address, adding that the missiles have, quote, proven themselves. Again, kind of a quick at-the-glance of what we know is going on in the day 601 of the invasion of Ukraine. Russian hopes to break through the Ukrainian defenses in the Kupiansk-Liman sector of the front line in northeastern Ukraine. The commander of Ukraine's ground forces said on Monday, a days-long attempt by Russian forces to storm the strategically important city of Avdiivka appears to be waning. Russian drones are mostly sourced from China, and Moscow will spend more than $618 million on new national project to make them itself. Russia's President Vladimir Putin will meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing for talks on Wednesday, the Kremlin has confirmed. Ukraine has called for Russia to be excluded from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, warning the body faces a slow death if Moscow remained a member. Meanwhile, Moscow can expect more diplomatic pressure from the 57-nation OSCE, according to the chief diplomat of the North Macedonia, which holds that body's rotating presidency. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said support for Ukraine remained a top priority for the U.S. and Europe, reaffirming that Biden's administration's commitment to support Kyiv for as long as it takes. That comes as, again, they're struggling to keep up support for Ukraine. Again, now that there's so much support that is needed for Israel. Back into the Israel news here. Iran warns of preemptive action against Israel amid Gaza. I'm just going to leave this headline up on stream while I casually walk to the fridge to get a soda pop. I want you guys to just let this one sink in for a second here. If big keyword there, if Iran decides to make any type of preemptive action against Israel, we're looking at a very serious escalation, all right? I'm going to go get something to moisten the palate with. I'll leave you guys with that for just a few seconds here. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. Sorry for that. Tehran has warned that a ground offensive on the besieged Gaza Strip would be met with a response from other fronts. No doubt there's already a response occurring from other fronts, and that's Hezbollah in Lebanon, who, mind you, is directly backed by the Iranians and trained and equipped by the Iranian Guard, so the Iranian military. So keep that in mind. Iran has warned of a possible, quote, preemptive action against Israel in the coming hours as Israel prepares for a ground offensive on the Gaza Strip. The Iran-backed Lebanese group Hezbollah and Israel have been exchanging fire across the Lebanese-Israeli frontier for days, further raising tensions as Israel bombards the Gaza Strip to the south following an unprecedented attack by the Palestinian armed group Hamas inside Israel last week. Quote, all right, pay attention here. Quote, all possible options and scenarios are there for Hezbollah. Naturally, resistance leaders will not allow the Zionist regime to take any action in Gaza, and when it feels reassured about Gaza, move on to other resistant areas in the region. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amirabdollahian, again, not sure if I'm pronouncing that one correctly, said in a live broadcast to the state TV late Monday evening, as he referred to his meeting with Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah the previous day. Quote, therefore, any preemptive measure is imaginable in the coming hours. In the coming hours. Let's take a look at this video from Al
Protests
Jazeera.
continue around the world in support of Palestinians 8 days into the war. Thousands have been rallying in Istanbul and Turkey, supporting Palestine and denouncing the US and Israel. In the Moroccan city of Rabat, thousands of people have been marching to support Palestine. Protesters and politicians from across the country joined the rally. Tunisians took to the streets to support Palestine, while the Tunisian army prepares to send aid to Gaza. However, in India, protesters have marched in support of Israel. Rallies also took place over the weekend in Germany and South Africa, showing solidarity with Israel. Well, let's bring in Marwan Bashara. He is Al Jazeera's senior political analyst. He joins us now from London. Marwan, first of all, I want to talk to you about Iran's foreign minister's comments from only...
So again, we get the gist. The resistant leaders, quote, will not allow Israel, quote, to do whatever it wants in Gaza. If we don't defend Gaza today, tomorrow we will have to defend against these phosphorus bombs in the children's hospitals of our own country. He added, referring to allegations by a human rights group that Israel has been using phosphorus bombs in its aerial bombardment of Gaza. Israel has denied this allegation. Reporting from southern Lebanon, Al Jazeera's Zina Kodir was seen as the strongest yet, or said Amira Abdalian was seen as the strongest yet. Hezbollah has been engaged with Israel along the border for more than a week now, but that cross-border exchange of fire has been largely limited in scope and confined to the border areas and military targets. Again, that's a slippery slope, all right? You get Hezbollah lobbing artillery rounds and Israel lobbing artillery rounds back at Hezbollah. That's a very slippery slope, and again, there's a lot of room for miscalculation there and for errors to be made. From the Times of Israel, Iran says, quote, time running out for solution to Gaza war threatens expanding the conflict. Iran on Monday said time was running out to reach a political solution, they say, to the Israel-Gaza conflict, warning of the possibility, quote, possibility, of expanding the scope of war and conflict to other fronts. During the conversations on Monday with his Russian and Turkish counterparts, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi warned against the continuation of crimes by the Zionist regime, quote. The president's political deputy, Mohammed, wrote on Twitter, or a.k.a. X, whatever the kids are calling it these days. In his phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Raisi warned of a, quote, possibility of expanding the scope of war and conflict to other fronts. Quote, if this happens, it will be more difficult to control the situation, Raisi said, according to the state news agency. All right, so this next article coming from IranInternational.com. This is an Iranian news site, so keep that in mind. Israel alleges Islamic Jihad responsible for deadly strike on the hospital. Israel's military denied responsibility for an attack on a Gaza hospital on Tuesday, saying it was hit by a failed rocket launched by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group. An analyst of IDF operational systems indicates that a barrage of rockets was fired by terrorists in Gaza, passing in close proximity to the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza at the time it was hit, a spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces said in a statement. Intelligence from multiple sources says sources we have in our hands indicates that Islamic Jihad is responsible for the failed rocket launch which hit the hospital. The attack on the Baptiste Hospital in Gaza, whose casualties is between 500 and 1,000 people according to different sources, has drawn condemnation of Israel, with Hamas calling the attack a genocide and a new turning point. Russia and the United Arab Emirates have requested an urgent meeting of the United Nations Security Council on October 18th. Russia's Deputy UN Ambassador Dmitry Polansky said, again, Jordan's foreign ministry also issued a statement on Tuesday strongly condemning the attack on the hospital, urging international protection for the Palestinian people, and called on immediately joining efforts to stop the war from raging in Gaza. In some North Korean news, North Korea may be sending arms to Russia for the Ukraine war. Images suggest, you see some satellite images here, which were taken, I believe, by Planet Labs. Again, apparently showing basically cargo shipments being sent to Russia from North Korea. This comes from the Washington Post, by the way. Russian ships linked to military transport networks have collected cargo from North Korea and delivered it into an apparent Russian military port on multiple occasions over the past 2 months, according to new satellite images, providing the clearest evidence yet that Pyongyang may be helping Moscow's war effort. The two ships had no record of running this route between North Korea and Russia until August, when high-level meetings between North Korean and Russian officials began, paving the way for Kim Jong-un to meet Vladimir Putin last month. U.S. intelligence assessments at the time suggested that Russia was looking to get North Korean weaponry to replenish its dwindling supplies for the war in Ukraine. White House officials said Friday this now appears to be happening and named one Russian vessel, alleging that North Korea has transported as many as 1,000 containers with equipment and munitions from North Korea to Russia in recent weeks. But new satellite images analyzed by the London-based Royal United Services Institute, also known as the RUSI, and provided the first to the Washington Post suggest this operation is more regular, extensive, and ongoing than the White House had initially revealed. Not one, but two ships have been plying the route between northeastern North Korea, the northeastern North Korean port of Rajin and a secure port facility in Dunai in Russia's far east, making at least 5 round trips beginning mid-August through Saturday, according to the RUSI analysts. Although it is impossible to tell what is being transported, the new images show ships linked to the Russian military logistics network, which strongly suggests these commercial vessels are carrying military equipment, says those analysts, and U.S. officials who say that as well. From Reuters, the U.S. envoy calls alleged North Korean Russian weapons deliveries dangerous. Relations between North Korea and Russia were very worrying, the U.S. Special Representative for North Korea, Soon Kim, said on Tuesday after the White House said last week Pyongyang recently provided Russia a shipment of weapons. The weapons deliveries between the two countries were, quote, dangerous and destabilizing, Kim told reporters after meeting his South Korean and Japanese counterparts in Jakarta, and reaffirmed U.S. commitment to protecting its allies. And again, to cap off that Russian news, Russia says no proof that North Korea is sending the weapons. And of course, this came from Dmitry Peskov, Putin's spokesperson, who likes to say things when there's clearly evidence saying otherwise. But anyway, I digress. Again, let's go back to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict here. I'm now going to switch over to our Situation Room in the Discord server, and we're going to see if we have any interesting content to go over this evening. I guess there's this clip of the Sky News video, which apparently shows the bombing on the hospital. However, I have not come across it yet. If anybody has, I don't think it exists. But if it does, we'll take a look. Good Robot 1, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, says Nemico. You should play those awesome North Korea propaganda videos, the ones with Big Kim in leather and shades. Maybe we should. Maybe eventually we'll play a few of those. I'd like to see those. I know I've seen probably a few, but I'm sure there's more. So again, this is a post from the ISW. This was posted by Lords of Acid today. This is related to the Ukraine war. It says Russian forces continued offensive operations along the Kupiansk-Satovi-Kremenina line on October 17th and made confirmed advances in the Kupiansk direction. Russian forces continued offensive operations near Advitka and southwest of Donetsk city, but did not make any territorial gains. You always gotta love the factual reporting coming from the ISW. Pretty good source of information and really good place to if you're like a war strategy buff. I love these maps they create. They're very informative, really good source of information. Highly recommend going and checking that out. So we have another clip here coming from Lords of Acid on Twitter. This is Israeli Defense Forces. This is coming from directly from the IDF. It says here, check your own footage before you accuse Israel. So, wow, they're really dropping the mic on this one. 1859, a rocket aimed at Israel misfired and exploded. A hospital was hit in Gaza. You had one job, they say. They're really dropping the mic on this one, the IDF.
هذه المدينة هي الأكثر تعرضا للصواريخ منذ بداية هذه الحرب. عمدة المدينة كانت تحدث قبل أيام عن أكثر من 1000 صاروخ طال هذه المدينة، وأكثر من 170 صاروخا سقط بالفعل في داخلها وأحدث دمارا في البنى التحتية وفي السيارات وفي المباني العامة والخاصة.
شكرا جزيلا لك الياس كرم حتى اللحظة، وسنعود إليك في إطار هذه التغطية التي ستتابعها معكم سلمى الجمل. إليك سلمى. ازدهار
هذه المدينة
Yes,
هي الأكثر تعرض.
The IDF and Hamas definitely have some Twitter beef going on here, as the live chat is saying. Yeah, as Aries 106 puts it, probably not the best time to be sarcastic, IDF. It's a really good point. They're out here, you know, making Twitter beef. So on the cameras, we got another couple ambulances coming inbound here at the hospital, Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City here. So that's interesting. Some activity happening there. Next up in the Situation Room this evening, we got a post coming from our favorite Crab over at Intel Crab on Twitter. See what it looks. Again, this was brought to us by Lords of Acid over on the Situation Room in the Discord server. Again, these are community aggregated posts that we're looking at here. So we have some interesting flight activity here. Has been airborne all night. It continues to provide mid-air refueling support above northern Israel. So again, there's a refueling tanker that's up in the air above Israel tonight. KC-130H. Next post here, coming from David D on Twitter. This is showing, again, TDF units, not really mobile, 7th Division. So this is some Ukraine-Russia activity here. It's basically just showing different units and brigades that are in the area here. Again, you can take a look at all this stuff more in depth over on the Situation Room if you are interested. So we got a tweet here coming from Global Military Info on Twitter. It says the Iranian embassy in Syria says, quote, time is up. The Iranian FM ended a statement earlier with this, time is, quote, over, all caps. It is becoming increasingly likely that the AOR is going to make a move soon against Israel. So possible Iranian involvement, question mark? Another tweet here, this is coming from Apex on Twitter, talking about some Americans that have been killed. The number now stands at 31 Americans killed in this Israeli conflict. From OSINT Defender here, we have some news about some sanctions. The U.S. Department of the Treasury will reportedly announce additional sanctions against Hamas and other organizations linked to the terror group later this week. Surprised that they didn't already have sanctions against Hamas. Now, here's some interesting, again, this is coming from Global Military Info on Twitter here. Let's talk about the U.S. has been discussing the possibility of using military force if Hezbollah attacks Israel with its rocket arsenal and joins the war against Israel per Axios. Big Red, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, says Grim99 Doomsday plane over Spain heading to Israel. I'll have to take a look at that on our air traffic radar here shortly. If you guys haven't yet, please hit that like button. It'd be highly appreciated. Helps us out. Helps us get the algorithm's attention. Some news here from Fox News, our favorite mainstream news. Our favorite mainstream news source, of course, right, guys? We all love Fox News, right? Cough, cough. Anyway, they said Iran foreign minister warns, quote, preemptive action against Israel expected within hours. Within hours. Preemptive action. So again, this might end up being a long night. I am planning to, hop off after we're done with the report, but if something goes down later tonight, you guys can bet I will be back here on the stream immediately as that news come in. If you guys hear something, don't be afraid to PM me on Discord, spam me, and get my attention so I can get online and get streaming for you guys. From Vicegrad24 on X, this comes from Dimotinez Quijada. Not sure if I am pronouncing that correctly, but thank you so much for posting this in the Discord. It says, breaking. Reports saying that Olaf Scholz and his team had to lay down on the ground to take cover as Hamas missiles were nearing the airport town in Tel Aviv. Scholz was taken to a bomb shelter a few minutes later. Let's take a look at this video here. Taking cover there, laying down, getting flat. Some people saying, yeah, there's like nothing hitting around them. Well, there was a siren sounding, so every time, trust me, anytime you're in a war zone, if air raid sirens sound, you need to get to shelter immediately, no matter what. Doesn't matter if stuff is landing near you or not, because you won't hear the missile land on you, right? It's just it hits and you're done. So again, like anytime, especially politicians, and delegates, when they're on the ground in a war zone, they hear the slightest sound of incoming missile or fighter jets in the air or sirens sounding. I mean, they're definitely taking shelter immediately. Next post here is coming from Lords of Acid again. This comes from Twitter.com. Oh, it seems this post has been removed, so I digress. We'll move on to the next one. Not sure what that one was exactly. Oh, it's the video about the Turkey protests. Or, yeah, the demonstrations that are happening in Turkey. We actually have another video of it here, which has also been removed. That's interesting. So, again, not sure why they removed that, if that was maybe... So it says here, protesters are setting fire to the walls of the General Consulate of Israel in Istanbul, Turkey. A dangerous situation is brewing in the Middle East. Let's see, can I play? I can play the video still in Discord, but for some reason it's not wanting to open up on the browser, or it might have been removed, possibly. But it's still there on Twitter server, so I see the video. Yeah, it just shows basically the building being ransacked by protesters. We actually have another video here. Let's see, did this one get taken down? This one doesn't either. So it could be that their account got taken down. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of posts from the same account. It could be that that post got taken down. Next post here coming from Rock Hassan. This comes from Rob Lee on Twitter. Says, Rybar says that elements of the Ukraine's 35th and 36th Marine Brigades have captured the town of Polima and are fighting for Pishkevinka on the left bank of the Dnipro River in Kherson Oblast with the aid of artillery and FPV strikes. So again, guys, keep in mind, The war in Ukraine is still active, still very active, still fighting happening there as we speak. And in fact, I guarantee tonight both bombs are falling in both areas, both in Israel, Gaza, and in Ukraine. Alrighty, so we have. Let me see here. Just enough time for just a few more posts here. Carbon actually posted a pretty interesting image here. Again, not able to confirm this at this time, guys, but it is interesting. This is actually showing the path of the hospital, the rocket launch site, and again, how their paths intersect here with the trajectory of those missiles that were launched. Again, this is taken by IDF radar footage. Again, not able to confirm this at this time, but somebody sent it over in the situation room, so nonetheless I decided I should show it. So, our live chat poll question this evening was, do you think that Israel is going to go ahead with their ground invasion? After you guys know all of the information that you know now, after everything we've talked about this evening, with Iran, Hezbollah, everything that's going on, do you guys think that Israel is going to go ahead with their invasion of Gaza, their all-out ground incursion on Gaza? Filthy M says the IDF never lie. I guess this is a good time to mention that I am doing questions and answers now. So if you guys have any comments or any questions you'd like me to read off, go ahead and send them in the live chat. You can also PM me on Discord. I'm not actually reading Twitch chats tonight. However, I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's tuning in over there on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for being here. I just forgot to get my Twitch dashboard open. So sorry, and it's like not behaving for me. All right, let me switch back over to the live map real quick. Very active still down there at the hospital, the Al-Shifa hospital. I see a lot of ambulances coming and going. There's a lot of news crews. There's a lot of people just hanging out down there, just waiting to kind of help or to get medical treatment as well. Epi Moose says, thanks for clearing that up. Thank you so much, Epi, for being here with us. Aries 106 says, I love no ground invasion. They lost their opportunity last week. Somebody's saying something about Mel Gibson posting a anti-Semitic tweet. Let's go take a look at this. Let's see if this is true. Is this true? Where's Mel Gibson's Twitter? Yeah, I cannot find anything to confirm that. Speedy Squirrel says, do we have any confirmation where the evacuees were able to get to? Southern Gaza. They're still in Gaza. I'm not sure. There hasn't really been too many confirmed reports as to how many people got across the Rafah crossing. We know that some people have made it out of Gaza, of course, right? But we don't know how many. The borders are still closed as of now. There's been a bunch of failed attempts at a ceasefire. None have worked. The ceasefires have been a total failure so far. Fried Retina says, wonder how many people took tunnels out through Egypt. Yep, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, again, we don't really know how many people made it out or, you know, where they're going, etc. Rob D360 says, glad to hear you streaming again, Nemico. I've been following you since day one of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here with us. Yeah, you can definitely hear that drone sound in the background. That's for sure. Speed Squirrel says, unfortunately, most tunnels are blocked by Hamas. They won't let people out. Hearing some more explosions there. Opera 2K, again, yeah, Cam 3 is just clips from earlier this evening. Too Tall, good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by this evening. Says, howdy, kids. Anybody want anything from McDonald's? I'd take a Big Mac. Actually, I'd probably take a quarter pounder. Quarter pounder with bacon. Yeah, I heard quite a few booms there just now on the camera. Jordan Lindsay, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Says, thanks for the updates, Nemico. Always appreciate the coverage. We always appreciate you, Jordan. Thank you so much. Rolf Robertson asked a really great question that I actually don't know the answer to. What is the estimated number of Hamas terrorists? Well, I bet that number is changing very rapidly. Yeah, so again, basically the plan is, I mean, because, you know, from all these articles I've been reading tonight, you know, there's about to be this big spillover. So we're right now at this very moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're at like a turning point in this war. Either things are going to really boil over from here on out, or it's going to do a complete 360 and everything's going to settle down. And I believe that this night, the next night or two, are going to be kind of, you know, the turning point of the war. It's going to be kind of the, you know, the deciding battles, the decisions made over the next night or two are what are going to determine how this goes. Possibly over the next few hours here. Okay, especially after this hospital attack. I guarantee things are going to escalate. Ashfalf says, hey, Nemico, any thought on the Times Up tweet by Iran's Syrian embassy? I know, I was just talking about that earlier. We just read about that. Sorry, we just read that report. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I think we're going to see something probably tonight or tomorrow, over the next 12 to 24 hours, most likely, I would say. And again, what that is, I don't know. Is Hamas going to release terrorists? Is there going to be a ratcheting down of tensions? Or is Iran or some other actor going to do something, and that's going to ratchet things up? Again, I think we're going to find out probably in the next 12 to 24 hours here. Uranus says, your thoughts on UN meeting / IDF live talk on Twitter last night? No progress made. I mean, it was kind of, I didn't watch most of it because it's just pointless, I mean, at this point. Citizen Fade says, I sent you the link for Impact Vid in Discord. I believe he's speaking of the footage from r/combat footage. I'll take a look at that and possibly show it later this evening on the stream. As I was saying, the plan for this evening is, after the report, I'm going to keep the cams going. We're going to keep the stream up, and if something occurs later in the evening, I will get on and start doing reports, of course, because again, I'm kind of on call for this all night. If something goes down, I want to be here and get on the stream and bring you guys the reports. Let me see here. Fried Retina says, never forget the Russian soldiers climbing telephone poles to cut power to the CCTV cams. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, we haven't seen too much of that yet here. It's possible we might see the equivalent of that on our Gaza cams by the IDF as they roll through. They might cut all the feeds. A lot of these cameras are like on probably some kind of cellular connection or, you know, running on backup generators, that sort of thing. I mean, that's the only way. I mean, they're able to keep a lot of this equipment up and running. Most of Gaza is without power. Jordan Lindsay, thank you so much for becoming a member over on the channel. Highly appreciate the support. It means a lot. Speedy Squirrel, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Says, for the taco and root beer fund. Thank you a lot. That means a hell of a lot to me, Speedy Squirrel. I appreciate your continued support here on the channel. It's because of you guys that and your guys' support, and it allows us to do this and continue to bring you guys these streams and these reports. Pays for the equipment, pays for the internet, everything, guys. So it's, again, it's brought to you by people like you. It's like PBS, but for open source intelligence. Grumpy Coffee says, Nemico, just to confirm, the bottom left camera is a pre-recorded. Yes, so I'm just going to have to put a tag over that at some point if we're going to keep that. So again, basically, it's just a assortment of shots from the past 5 to 8 hours. So different video from the past about 5 to 8 hours. Hearing some small arms fire, question mark, off in the distance there on that Gaza cam. Miss Tiger Eyes says we need some root beer emojis, possibly. That could be in the cards. Marcia says, Nemico, it's great to have you back. Great to have you back, Marcia. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight and taking some time out of your day to learn about what's going on in the world. I'm going to go ahead and end off that poll tonight, guys. Again, tonight's poll question was, do you think the Israelis are going to go ahead with this ground invasion that they're talking about? An overwhelming 78% of you said yes. 21% of you said no. That comes out of 724 votes. Thank you guys so much for contributing to that live chat poll tonight, guys. It kind of gives us a good idea of what the general consensus on this stuff is, and I think it's you know, a very valuable thing, you know, a very valuable tool that we have at our disposal, you know, kind of doing these polls and kind of getting as I said, a consensus for what everybody thinks. So again, tonight's poll was, do you think that Israel is going to go ahead with this ground invasion that we've been talking about for the past few days here? And 78% says yes, 21% say no. Again, that's out of 724 votes. Brian Rosenberger, who I believe is a Marine, because he has a Marine Corps logo there. If you are a Marine vet there, sir, thank you so much for your service. I highly appreciate it. Semper Fi. Brian Rosenberger says, a little something for the Quarter Pounder Fund. Any thoughts on U.S. long-range missiles effect in Ukraine? Well, as we read earlier in those reports, the words direct from Zelensky's mouth is that they prove themselves. So now my worry is that Ukraine, and I guess it's not as much of a worry about them doing it, but the worry of consequences from them doing that is them looking to reach a little farther into Russia. If they start reaching, you know, close to Moscow and stuff with longer range missiles, I think we could see some ratcheting up of tensions in the region. And again, things have been kind of, you know, a little bit settled down over the past month or so, you know, especially since Israel, the whole world's focus is on Israel. I mean, but you got to keep in mind the Russians are still fighting for territory in Ukraine. The Ukrainians are still fighting to get back territory in Ukraine. They're all kind of worn, you know, stretched pretty thin and worn out, but there's always possibility for renewed escalations, and something like the Ukrainians lobbing a long-range missile made by the U.S. into Russian territory could be a pretty dire thing. I don't think they will. I'm pretty sure the U.S. has given them, you know, orders not to do that, not to, you know, reach any farther into Russia. You know, areas like Belgorod, you know, kind of like the border region is not as big of a deal because they've already been doing strikes there for quite some time. But I feel like if they start reaching out a little farther, we could see some further escalation there from that. Yeah, the Russians would definitely not be looking too kindly upon that. Michael Tatro says, scary times we're living in right now. Yeah, we are the closest on the nuclear doomsday clock that we have ever been to utter destruction. Fun fact. Miss Tiger says, yes, and squirrel emojis with the Nemico cape on it. We could definitely do that. That could be in the cards. Cotillion makes a good point, though, that says, well, at this point, the U.S. and Iran have not gone weapons hot. So, yes, exactly. So let's pray for the best. Let's pray for the best and prepare for the worst, as I always say. Dustin, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. He says, bye, enjoyed the stream. Good to have you back around, Nemico. Good to have you as well, Dustin. Again, for those that don't know, we will be here every weekday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly report. And as this Israel conflict unfolds, again, we are in the first weeks of it here, I will be doing, again, the 24/7 live streams like this, where I kind of pop on occasionally and give kind of reports and information, just like I did at the start of the Ukraine war. I want to keep people updated and help get this information out there. Speaking of which, there's a whole bunch of open source intelligence channels that I would like to give a big shout out to. We got InquizX, we got Same Wavelength, Audio Nix, we got Observation Room, Source Global. I don't know if they're still doing stuff or not, but there's tons of them, you guys. There's tons of them out there. Go check them out. Go show them your love. I was going to do it tonight, but we ran out of time. Next stream, so maybe tomorrow night or maybe later tonight, if I come back on, who knows. One of these nights we're going to do an open source intelligence community raid where we head over to some of the other YouTube channels and show them some love. I guess if you guys wanted to head over to Same Wavelength and show them some love from Nemico tonight, I'll post a link to them in the or at least their current live stream over. Actually, I'll take I'll copy a link to their YouTube channel. Go ahead, subscribe to those guys. They've been keeping camera feeds up out of Israel all week. They're doing some pretty good stuff. Agenda Free TV, Steve is awesome. Yep. Yeah, there's so many. The Enforcer. If you guys go over to our channel, there's a a channel tab that shows a bunch of channels that I, kind of promote over there that I recommend. Go take a look at it. And, again, there's always tons of good ones. Keep an eye out there. There are some, that like to, take advantage of situations and stuff and do some shady stuff. But for the most part, these are good people doing good work here. There's all sorts of them that have been popping up recently, and I've been wanting to, show them some love. And we want to promote, people doing this sort of open source intelligence reporting, the same thing that we're doing here tonight, looking at cameras, looking at data, kind of talking about stuff, figuring things out for ourselves. And so I really condone that sort of activity. Make sure you guys, go show these guys some love. Tonight, I guess, tonight's promoted channel, I should say, is Same Wavelength. I posted a link to them over in the chat. Go show them some love. Go subscribe. Go comment on their stuff. Let them know that Nemico sent you and that we support what they're doing. They actually have a live stream going right now with Israel cams and data. You can go and go pop into the live chat and tell them that Nemico sent you and that we love them over there. Opera2K says, Nemico, did you speak to Dasha sometime or not? You mean Mehmet? I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but his Twitter is still active. You can go and take a look at that. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you guys. Brian Rosenberger says Enforcer is about to start up for his nightly broadcast. I highly recommend the Enforcer. They do really good reporting. I love the stuff that they're doing. They're absolutely killing it in the open source intelligence game. Absolutely love it. Again, this is a team effort, guys. We all have to work together in this community to bring people the news and to do this reporting. So, again, I thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Everybody that supported the channel tonight, highly appreciated. It's because of you that it allows us to keep doing what we do. I'm going to keep this stream up, guys, with this footage going and the audio going out of Israel and Gaza. Don't go anywhere. Share this stream. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure to join the Discord. There's a link to that in the description below. If you're tuning in on Twitch, love you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us. Everybody over there on Discord, I see you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us. I might or might not be back later this evening, depending on how shit goes. So, again, keep an eye on notifications. Keep an eye on the Discord. If you guys see anything going down and I'm not here on stream, message me on Discord. Let me know what's going on, and I will hop on and we'll get to reporting the news to you. But until then, guys, you are watching Nemico Network.